What's up, everybody? Fusion64 here, and welcome to the PlayStation Portal Podcast, my weekly PlayStation show where I discuss all things PlayStation, news, rumors, the latest releases, all about PlayStation 5, a little PlayStation VR 2, and obviously the PlayStation Portal. I love me some PlayStation Portal. This is going to be the last episode in a pre-PlayStation Portal world. I'm excited to get my hands on this baby. This is basically going to be a weekly show recorded on Sundays and released on Sundays. So if you like this podcast, do me a favor, hit that like button, consider subscribing to the channel, leave a comment. I want this show to be all about the community. Leave a comment. I'll read it in the next show. Any critiques, any questions, I'll have answered in the next show. So without further ado, let's get into some of these big news stories of the week. We got 5 news stories and then I'm going to cover what I've been playing, and let's get into it here. So first off, we have a news story. This is somewhat Sony and Nintendo related, and it's that Nintendo and Sony are working on a live action Zelda movie. Now that's pretty interesting that they went with Sony. Sony Pictures, they really don't have much to do with PlayStation. It's not a PlayStation Productions movie like the Uncharted movie, like The Last of Us HBO show. This is a Sony Pictures movie, so it's like it's part of the same company, but it really isn't. I just thought it was a really interesting story. I'm really surprised that they're going live action with this. I think they'd be better off going like animated, like the Super Mario Brothers movie. But it's kind of funny when a few years ago Sony signed a deal with Microsoft to use some of their cloud technology, their Azure servers, and people in PlayStation didn't even know that the deal was happening. So like these two parts of the company of PlayStation and Sony, sometimes they don't talk to each other, and deals can get done with Sony without PlayStation even knowing. So it's just kind of interesting that these two companies, which have been enemies, Nintendo kind of screwed Sony in the Super NES era, and they have been bitter rivals ever since. So it's funny that they're now kind of like working together. So up next, we have a story. Big news out of PlayStation land. They had their financial meeting this week, and they announced that Spider-Man has sold 5 million copies in the first 10 days, and actually beat out Super Mario Brothers Wonder, which sold like 4.3, I believe. So Spider-Man 2 is doing excellent. It's only on the PlayStation 5, so you're looking at like 49 million PlayStation 5s out there in the wild that they announced this week. I think it was 49 or 46 that they announced. So, I mean, like, what is that, 10% of PlayStation 5 owners own Spider-Man 2. That's a great attach rate. This game is going to be a massive success this holiday season. You see that game bundled with PlayStation 5s along with Modern Warfare 3, and PlayStation is going to sell a ton of PlayStation 5s. They said that they're on track to meet their 25 million systems sold by the end of fiscal year in March 2024. But really the big news out of this financial meeting was that their CEO now, Hiroki Totoki, which it's kind of a funny name, but he came out and said that they were originally supposed to release 12 games as a service, live service games, by March 2025, and now they've cut that number down to just 6 games, stating we need to meet the quality expectations of our fans. So those games have been pushed back, delayed, or maybe even canceled. I don't know, but 12 live service games in a year seems like absolutely crazy. So like I'm glad that they cut that number down to 6. Now we already know some of those games. We know Helldivers 2 is going to be one of those games. We know that MLB The Show the next year's is at 2024 is going to be one of those games. In a recent PlayStation blog post, they reiterated that game Concord is a multiplayer first-person shooter game that's coming next year. So that's another one of those games. That's going to be 3 of those games. You imagine Destiny expansion is probably going to be another one of those. So that's 4 right there. So there's probably 2 unknown games or on the games that they haven't announced in that out of that 6 that we don't know about. Hopefully one of those games is going to be The Last of Us Factions, maybe the rumored Twisted Metal game, But I think it's a good idea to not flood the market with these live service games. People can only play so many of these live service games. Like last year, they had what, three first party games? They had God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, and I think I might be missing one. Oh, they GT7. Okay. But like you can play these big meaty single player games. They can release multiple of those each year. But if you're going to release all of these live service games, and some of those might appeal to the same audience. And you really only got time for so many of those in your life. So I don't really think it's a great idea to just throw stuff at the wall and see if it sticks. So I think it's a great idea to take some 6 of those games, release them sporadically throughout the next like year or two, get them up to a higher quality. You can learn from these multiplayer live service games that release in this next year. Okay, what worked? What didn't work? What can these 6 games that we're holding off on, what can they improve, and what can they learn from these games that we released to give them a better chance to be more successful? And I think that's really a great idea. You got to make sure that the quality is there, because I know with these live service games, my one concern was that PlayStation is known for its quality, and just throwing these live service games out there, you're going to lose that reputation of having high quality products. But I don't think we really have to worry too much about that. I think they've realized that, and that's why they're holding off on some of these games and not just shoving them out there. So, kind of sticking with that whole PlayStation and live service theme, it was about a week ago. The Last of Us game director Vinit Agarwal basically put out a tweet talking about Super Mario Wonder, that he basically beat the game or whatever. And then under that tweet, he put, and just so this tweet can live in peace, yes, I'm still working on that game. And he's the game director for the Last of Us factions. So it seems like this game, there's been a lot of rumors this year that this game has been canceled or put on ice. And it seems that like that is maybe not the truth. Maybe they're still working on it. So he's reiterated that he's still working on the game. The game director would not be there working on the game if this game was canceled. So maybe this is one of those 6 games. Maybe it's not going to release next year. Maybe this is one of those 6 games that they're holding back for maybe another year, a little bit longer, until the quality is there or whatever is that they needed to work on. So that's really Sony and their live service. I know the fan base is really they are very nervous about this whole pivot into the live service genre, and I can't blame them. It is it's a little scary territory. We're used to having all these great single player games, and I do agree that PlayStation needs to add a little bit more variety. They do need to be in the multiplayer space. They do need to compete in that space, in the live service space. A lot of these games make a lot of money, but you got to do it smartly. You got to do it wisely. You can't just throw a whole bunch of crap out there and see if it sticks. You got to do it while maintaining a certain level of quality. So that's what it seems like they're doing. I'm pretty glad about that. And now basically the theme of this year, more live service fiasco, is Warner Brothers. They just recently released Mortal Kombat 1. They released Hogwarts Legacy in the beginning of the year, which was a massive success. And out of their financial meeting, Warner Brothers reaffirmed its stance to double down on live service games. Now, if you remember, they are publishing Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and that game was delayed like 6-8 months. It was supposed to come out this year. 6-8 months. It's been delayed a few times, and people were upset that it looked like a live service looter shooter, and people want a Batman game, and we haven't had a Batman game since Arkham Knight, and so they delayed it, and everybody thinks that they delayed it to take the live service elements out of it. But Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav basically said in their earnings report, our focus is on transforming our biggest franchises from largely console and PC-based with 3-4 year release schedules to include more always online gameplay through live services, multi-platform, and wait for it, free-to-play extensions with the goal to have more players spending more time on more platforms. Yeah, it's disappointing that they're not. It seems like they sold. This is one of the Hogwarts Legacy, one of the biggest selling games of the year. Mortal Kombat sold 3 million copies in like a month, and I think that these CEOs look at that as not. They're not looking at it like, wow, these games are just selling incredibly well. We're doing great. They're looking at that as more as like, these aren't live service games. We are missing out on so much more money because they're not live service games. We're not like trying to just take the players for every penny that they have, and that's kind of disappointing. We'll see. We'll see what happens with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, how that's going to be received. I think that could pave the way for how their games in the future are shaped. If I had to put a gun to my head right now, I would guess that the next Hogwarts game is going to have a lot of live service elements in it, a lot of microtransactions, a lot of way for the people that play the game to spend a lot more money, especially with the power of that Harry Potter IP and how well Hogwarts Legacy sold. They're gonna have so much stuff. It's gonna be heavily monetized out the ass. It's gonna be a nightmare, I bet. But we'll see. The proof is gonna be in the pudding. We just had that controversy with Mortal Kombat 1 where they sold like, I think it was a $10 Halloween fatality, which is ridiculous. So this stuff ain't stopping anytime soon. I bet you that Suicide Squad is going to be like a heavily monetized game. So, and the problem is that people just keep buying this stuff. You look at it like a game like NBA 2K, people are really pissed off at that because it is super grossly monetized, but that just game keeps printing money, selling tons of copies. People are spending so much money in that game, say with GTA. So the people, in the masses, the casual fan base, are speaking with their wallet and they're buying all this stuff. So these developers and publishers are going to keep pushing for it, unfortunately. It sucks, but that's the reality of the gaming industry in 2023, 2024. Which leads us to our last announcement, and that is GTA 6 is going to be announced next month. Well, trailer is going to be announced in December. It was softly announced by Sam Hauser on Twitter. He basically said, we are very excited to let you know that in early December, we will release the first trailer for the next Grand Theft Auto. We look forward to many more years of sharing these experiences with all of you. Oh, I didn't really see that. So I'm curious if this game is going to come out next year, if they're looking forward to many more years of sharing these experiences. Regardless, this game is going to be gigantic. I think this was like the most liked gaming tweet ever on Twitter. Crazy. It is just a tweet announcing that GTA, the next Grand Theft Auto game, exists. This trailer is going to be massive. This game is going to be massive. This game could be like a trendsetter. Like, they could actually raise the price of this game. This game could be like an $80 or $100 game, and it would sell gangbusters, make a ton of money. This is the one thing with PlayStation getting into these live service games is this is a game that they're going to have to compete with Grand Theft Auto 6. It's bad enough you're putting out these live service games. They're going to have to compete with all the stuff that's already out there, the Fortnites, the Call of Duties, the Grand Theft Auto 5s, but like Grand Theft Auto 6 is a game that is going to stop the industry, and it's interesting to see. Like, I'm really hoping that Grand Theft Auto changes their gameplay up a little bit, because I think that's the one department that they really lack in, and they're well behind everybody else, is the Rockstar controls and their gameplay. I mean, visuals, story-wise, they're the best in the business, but gameplay-wise is where they really lag behind. And I feel like they're just so stubborn and hard-headed that this game's still going to play exactly how GTA and Red Dead 2 play, which is smash the X button to run and lock on aiming, not anything fun to play. I'm really wondering if this game is going to just be. If PlayStation, this would be a great idea for PlayStation to try and get the marketing for this game, get GTA 6 on PlayStation boxes. That would sell a ton of PlayStations. Is this game going to launch with the next version of Grand Theft Auto Online? Because I believe Grand Theft Auto 5's online came a little bit later, if I do remember, all the way back in 2013, and it's morphed into this juggernaut. So we'll see. I bet you this game, like Grand Theft Auto Online, is going to be heavily, heavily monetized. Um, there's going to be no links to how monetized this game is going to be. It's absolutely crazy. So that's really it for the news and rumor department for this week. Let's do a little bit of PlayStation Portal talk, shall we? PlayStation Portal is a few days away. We're about a day away from the reviews dropping. I'm very excited. I've got my pre-ordered accessories. I made a video about PlayStation Portal accessories. Amazon has a bunch of accessories available, from cases to screen protectors to like the silicone like case grips that go over the Portal, which I'm not too hot on. I would rather just have it au naturel, because I think it's a beautiful looking handheld. So check out Amazon. There's a bunch of stuff there for you. Now, when PlayStation Portal launches, I'm going to have a full review of that going up. I'm going to test it out in multiple different places. I'm going to test it out in my home. I'm going to test it out in a Starbucks, test it out at a friend's house, and just to see, put it through the ringer, see how well it works in these different scenarios. Because yeah, I'm gonna be primarily playing this at home, but I want to be able to use this when I go like on vacation. We usually rent a house somewhere on the coast, and I'm looking to see if this is a viable option for me to take and kind of like replace my Switch and play it over Wi-Fi wherever I'm at on vacation. So that's why I'm gonna be doing all these tests. I'll have my review up. I'm gonna review the case that I get, so if this case is a good case or not. So then I think I'm going to probably maybe do a few videos, showing off how some of the games that I'm playing look on the Portal. But yeah, I'm going to try and include some of the new stuff in the podcast each week about the Portal. Since this podcast is named the PlayStation Portal Podcast, definitely have some impressions, see how it goes off. If you want to just listen to the podcast next week, I'll have my review up there. So yeah, that is all we got on the PlayStation Portal. But next week will be a big episode for the Portal, so make sure to check back here next week. As far as stuff that I've been playing, I just finished Spider-Man 2. Absolutely loved it. It is one of my favorite, if not my favorite game for PlayStation 5. I think maybe that might still go to God of War Ragnarok, but God of War Ragnarok I felt had some pacing issues. It was maybe a little too long, and I think Spider-Man 2 was more even throughout, and I just had a blast the whole time playing that game. I just got to platinum. The one thing about the Spider-Man games, whether it's the first Spider-Man, Miles Morales, or this game, is that it has some of the most fun platinums on PlayStation, and they think they do a great job of not overstaying their welcome. I think the first game just was on the border right there of overstaying its welcome. Miles Morales was amazing. It was no filler, nothing. One of the trophies glitched out on me, so I won 100% of that game twice. And that's how much I loved it and how great I thought it was. This game, I could totally see myself replaying this game. I think it took me about 30 hours to 100%. I'd love, once they announce a New Game Plus, I'd love to go back and do a New Game Plus and play through most of the game with some of the suits I unlocked in the later part of the game. I got a review on the channel if you want to check out my review of Spider-Man 2. I reviewed it with my son, who absolutely loves the Spider-Man games. Those are probably his favorite games on any platform. He beat Miles Morales. He 100%ed Spider-Man 2, and now he's out there playing the original Spider-Man, which he didn't play. He was a little too young for that. So, yeah, I finished that up. I'm trying to, and then I went back to Assassin's Creed Mirage, and I think Assassin's Creed Mirage is an okay game, but going back to that after playing Spider-Man 2, oh boy, that is a big jump down in quality and fun. But I was originally going to platinum Assassin's Creed Mirage, but I'm like, I don't know. Maybe that's something that like I chip away at with now that when we get the Portal, and that's something I can lay in bed and knock out trophies slowly. But I don't know. I'm ready for it kind of to end, so I'm kind of just pushing through the main story, and I might just delete that game. I downloaded the Callisto Protocol. That was last month's free PS Plus game, so that actually might be like my main Portal game coming up here soon. I'm excited to try that out. But yeah, that's mostly what I've been playing. Fortnite OG. Fortnite OG is amazing. I'm a day one Fortnite player. I took a break for a few years, like a year or two on Fortnite, and came back maybe like 2 to 3 years ago. Um, but that's like my game I play on weekends with friends and my son and Rocket League. So yeah, that's kind of like the stuff that I'm interested in, stuff that I've been playing, stuff I got on the horizon. I'm excited to get back into Gran Turismo on the Portal. So yeah, stay tuned for that. We will have more Portal stuff next week, more news, rumors. But yeah, that's going to do it for this first episode of the PlayStation Portal podcast. Remember, if you like this podcast, do me a favor, hit that like button, consider subscribing, share it out. And don't forget to leave a comment. I'd love to have every week a comment section where I read your comments, answer your questions, and yeah. Love to have the community participate in this podcast. So, once again, for Fusion 64 PlayStation Portal Podcast, see you guys next week.